Sit your ass down. Sit your ass down. Let's talk about the suffering. It's time to start the pay. Sit your ass down. Sit your ass down and strap in. This is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt. Let's talk about the suffering. It's time to start the pain. This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
The majority of us have a valuable gift that we don't even realize until it's gone. Some even strive to erase that gift, putting in so much work and time to assure that it goes away, often seeing this gift as a negative in their life. Once this gift is gone, it's extremely difficult to retrieve. I'm talking about the gift of anonymity. The antonym of anonymity is fame. I see many people who want to be famous. Very few want to be anonymous, unless you've previously lost it. Is fame all it's cracked up to be? I can go to the store, the movies, a bar, a restaurant. I'm left alone and given peace. I can imagine fame would be fun for a few months, but I also feel that it could get old very, very fast. I'm Kevin Donaldson here with Mike Failace, and on this episode of the Suffering Podcast, we welcome Kim D.
Hi.
From the Real Housewives of New Jersey.
The Kim D.
Now, Kim D is somebody who really knows what it's like to lose their anonymity. Kim, thank you so much for coming in. This means a lot to us. And
you're very welcome.
You've become a very dear person to me.
And you've become a dear person to me too, Kevin. Thank you for coming to my birthday too.
And I'll just sit over here and say I'm not dear to anybody.
You'll eventually become dear.
Your birthday party was a blast.
It was fun.
It was a blast.
It was fun, but I peaced out early, so everyone knows I come early, I peace out early.
Kim is the queen of the Irish goodbye.
Yeah,
I've never seen anybody. I always thought Mike Dowd was good at it, but I've never seen anybody like Kim.
The best, but I start out earlier than everyone else because I like to get home early. So it's just like, they're like, you're leaving? Yeah, bye.
And you got to have a couple drinks before everybody gets there.
Yeah, well, I have at least one. I have at least one.
Before we get into any of the fun, let's get into this week's social media question. As you can see, we are now on video. We're now on YouTube. I want to give a big shout out to Toyota of Hackensack for funding our studio time here. Listen, I buy my trucks from Toyota of Hackensack because as a police officer, I trust very few people. These people I can trust because they make it super easy. Just go to them. Go to toyotaofhackensack.com. Let them find a car for you. Real simple, real fast, real easy.
Fabulous.
This week's social media question was written to us by Mac. What one thing have you done recently that has made you a better person? Kim, you're our guest today. I'm going to throw this one off to you.
Okay, well, this week, my son lost his keys to the house for probably 150 times, and I actually went to Tanner's Hardware to make him another set of keys. That's the only really nice thing that I did all week. No, I've been grouchy, but no, I'm a good dog mom. I have 7 dogs, and I take care of my animals. That comes first before anything, but I did go to the hardware store, and I did not bitch, and I did the right thing, and I made him a set of keys.
Did you charge your son for him?
I did not. As a matter of fact, Tanner's Hardware said to me, you should be charging him the next time because I'm there all the time getting keys.
But that's a really tough thing because you're mad at your son for doing that, especially
Absolutely.
if he's done it. You're mad, and it's really difficult to turn around and change the way you feel about somebody to do something for the better good. So I appreciate that.
Yes.
And it's something small.
It was something small, but when they asked me that question, listen, I'm sure that I've done other things. Listen, I have things that I've been giving to people that need, like at a television, I gave all different things that I don't consider like that such a kind thing to do. That's just who I am. But the kindness was not wringing his neck and going down there and getting him his keys.
What did you do that was kind? I didn't throttle my son's neck this week.
Really, I was
for losing his keys.
He's 32 years old. Like, when is it going to end? But anyway.
Yeah, but he's a good kid, so he loses
He
his
is. You
kid.
met him. He's a good kid.
He's a good kid. Mike?
Was that the birthday party that I wasn't invited
Absolutely.
to? You met him there?
I didn't want you there. I purposely didn't invite you there.
It was an open invitation.
As you can see, Kim, Mike and I, we go at each other a little bit, but he secretly loves me. So don't worry about it.
Kim's my new favorite now.
There you go.
I'm going to go on her podcast next.
Gee, you put the two of us next to. I wonder which one you're going to choose.
I love it.
So what do you think, Mike? What one thing this week has made you a better person?
I helped an old lady across the street
Oh, stop it! You did not. You pushed an old lady into the street
with my car.
with your car.
No, I'm not. It's not all about the big things you do for people. I mean, I like the smaller things in life.
Me
just
too.
Whether it's holding a door for someone or I don't do much grocery shopping. I'll go if I need something. I'll go to the store. So I can go to the store 5 or 6 times a week and
Right.
help someone out to the car with their bags.
Yeah.
How about letting someone go?
Letting someone go.
When they're driving, people are driving like lunatics and they don't like, I always stop. Go ahead. You can go.
That's why I leave the house 5 minutes early. Poor Andrew, our producer over here.
Yeah.
He opens the studio early because he knows I'm getting here.
Me too. I was here early.
You
I
were
told
here
you.
I'm
I'm always early or on time. I'm never
Listen,
late.
I have to say something though. When you called Kevin before, I'm like, she's gonna be late.
No.
She was right in the parking
No,
lot.
I was in the parking lot. No,
I'm
that's
like, wow,
listen.
that's-
I think it's so
that's
rude.
impressive.
So rude when people are late.
I
That's
can't
one of my
stand
pet
lateness.
peeves. So rude.
For me, it's real simple. It's real simple, and I'll do this occasionally, and I don't want anything for it. I don't look for it. Years ago, I forgot my wallet, and all I wanted was a cup of coffee. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't buy this coffee. I don't have any money on me. I forgot my wallet. Guy behind me goes, don't worry about it. I got it. And I never forgot that.
Right. Right.
So occasionally,
I would have done that too.
Occasionally, you know how many people wouldn't do that?
I know.
They wouldn't spit on you if you were on fire.
Exactly. Exactly. That's one of my favorite sayings. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's another way to say it. Which
I
didn't.
know.
But so occasionally, what I'll do, and I did it this week. Somebody's in front of me, and I'm up at the coffee shop. I'm like, I got the coffee, and I don't know whoever it is, whether it's a guy, girl. It doesn't matter. I don't know who it is. I just get into this mood.
Right.
And listen, it's $2.
That's what I'm saying. What is it's pay it forward.
It's not going to make or break it. We say pay it forward all the time in the show.
Pay it forward.
So hopefully, what I hope is somebody will do that for somebody
Love
else.
it.
Like our nonprofit Dental Development Project. So we sell challenge coins for a fundraiser, and challenge coins are cool. We got them sitting right up here. They're cool for people to hold on to. But what I really hope for challenge coins is you see somebody in need who just the coins are there just to show you that somebody's got your back. You're not alone.
Right.
Hey, maybe you give that to somebody who,
It's nice.
as a reminder, say, hey, you know what? Today's not the day that I'm going to go through this crap.
No, I like it.
So,
I like it.
Mac, thank you so much for sending that in. Keep sending in your questions. We'll get them on the air.
Yeah.
Now, Kim D. I want
Where to start?
I want I want to let you know I did my research.
Okay.
I actually watched a small portion, begrudgingly, of
Last
the Real
night.
Housewives.
That was your good deed for the week.
That was my good deed.
There you
for the
go.
week.
See that?
There you go.
That was tough. That was a lesson.
Brutal.
That was a lesson in brutality. I have seen you on the show before. You're not like that. You're not like that. But let's start. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us a little background on yourself.
Well, I had I think a really charmed life, charmed childhood, charmed life. We got into this a little bit before. And, I'm grateful. I'm a grateful person. I'm a happy person. You don't really see me being angry or fighting with people. You really have to do something pretty bad for me to fight with you. You have to you draw first blood. And once you do that, you're going to be hit one time. You're going to go down. You're not going to get back up. That's that other side to me. So I've had a charmed, childhood. I was at the Copacabana when I was 6. I was, fabulous, wonderful vacations. My mom was married a few times, but every one of them were fabulous men, and they all had a lot of money, and we had a great time. My teenage years, my mom was not really a disciplinarian. I really did whatever I wanted to do, but I didn't really do anything wrong. Sometimes when you give people, of course, back then, when you give people freedom, they don't have to act out. So, I was basically a good kid, good teenager. Did a couple things, drank a little too early. But then, I got married pretty young, had my son. I went through a few divorces myself. I met someone that was the love of my life, my soulmate. I was with him for 13 years. He passed away 10 years ago this November. Devastating for me.
I'm sure.
He was gotten very sick. I don't want to discuss what kind of illness, but it was self-inflicted. I could say that. Was self-inflicted.
It's a subject that we know all too well.
There you go. So it was self-inflicted, and I had to watch that, which was difficult. And the year that happened, I had gotten my biggest contract with New Jersey Housewives. So he passes away on Sunday, Thanksgiving. My offer comes in on a Monday. I declined the first offer. When the producers found out what had happened, they doubled the offer in one day.
That's smooth.
They doubled it.
That's
So I
smooth.
took the offer. And so Sunday was his passing. Tuesday night, I was filming at Capitol with Teresa Giudice. She was getting an award. So, my life, when I say charmed, yeah, it was I feel it was charmed. There was a lot of losses in my life. My son lost his father at 11. I was divorced, but it was major for my son, major for me. It's his father. But I think I handle things differently. Like when people talk to me, I'm like, I'm just different. I can't explain it. I'm just different.
The loss of your husband, would you consider that?
Boyfriend of 13 years.
Boyfriend,
Yeah. And the loss of my husband I was divorced. That was my son's father.
So the loss of your boyfriend, would you consider that your greatest suffering story?
Yes.
You really? Like, how did,
1,000%.
tell us.
Besides my mom, recently,
Which,
but
yes.
yeah.
11 years ago, I lost my mom.
Well,
Still
I
the
lost my
worst
mom in
ones.
September. So if I had to pick the greatest loss would be my mom, but the most tragic and the most suffering was losing Michael.
I lost my mom, but she found her way back somehow. I guess I didn't go out far enough, but
Yeah. Well, so if I had to pick one, of course, losing your mother is the worst thing. But the suffering was losing Michael after being with him. He was my soulmate.
so how did you deal with those losses? We try to give people tools on how to survive in this chaotic world we live in. What are some of the coping mechanisms that you used?
Okay. Well, I would discuss earlier that I'm very spiritual and a woman of faith, and I believe there's a better place. That's my belief. Okay. So when I lost Michael and I knew the place that he was in, I said, he's in a better place. And it's time for me to do what I need to do. And I'm very strong when it comes to death. Like people break down. People would say to me, "Oh my God, I would be in bed for like 2 weeks," and I don't have the luxury of being in bed for 2 weeks, nor do I want that.
And really, what's that going to do for you?
What's that going to do for you? So I'm going to go back to I'm very different and I'm strong. And that's why I told you that I would like to be a life coach. Okay. And, I understand that people, I'm very, I understand how people get weak and how they want to crawl into bed. That's not the answer. The answer was I threw myself into the Housewife show. I threw myself into the business. And to be honest with you, I bought myself another dog. I love animals.
That's what you got to do. You really
I bought myself another puppy.
You have to keep yourself busy to keep
Yeah.
your mind off of something. Like you said, if you stay in bed for a couple weeks, it's going to do nothing but fester.
And you
gotta
could
keep
go
yourself
into
busy.
a deeper depression.
You're not going to. It's not going to cure your suffering.
Definitely not.
But it's going to help it along.
Right.
I was recently reading a book that said success is brought from suffering.
I agree.
So therefore, shouldn't we all be seeking suffering? That part I have a little problem with. You don't seek suffering, but we don't have to run away from it either.
No.
We don't have
I think we all suffer in one way or the
here
other. I don't
we
think
go
none
with
of
the
us
prairie
skate.
fire.
We don't skate. None of us skate.
First time on video. It's
Yeah.
fine.
But,
because
got a whole new audience.
but buying the puppy happened twice. When Michael died, I bought one, and when my mom passed, I bought one.
nothing gives you love like a puppy. Nothing can aggravate the hell out of you like a
No,
puppy
but
too.
they're just.
You didn't name the dog after Michael.
No, I
did you?
did not. But I named.
I've
the
seen
first,
some people
but
do
I
stuff
named
like that,
the
too.
dog after the Bentley that was taken away from me when he passed.
So
I named him Bentley.
Actually, I saw Bentley when I came and picked you up the last time.
Yeah.
I saw Bentley. Okay, Bentley's the little one.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So that's how I mentally handled the fact. Listen, I dealt with losing a Bentley. It's fine. They came and took it away from me. But I went and bought my dog, and I named him Bentley. So mentally, I still had my Bentley. So it was cute. But yeah, no, listen, none of us skate the suffering. None of us.
You need it. It's
think
essential.
I agree.
Now, then you get this contract. So you didn't have any downtime to really
Zero.
sit and
Yeah.
think about it, which is a good thing.
Which is a good
Exactly.
They who was it? William Blake says the busy bee has no time for sorrow. So if you were to sit there and you didn't have all this stuff going on,
Got it.
it might have been a little different.
Sure, it would have been
You're
a lot
strong
worse.
person, and I don't doubt that.
Would have been a lot worse.
Yeah,
And I say all the time, an idle mind is the devil's playground.
Yeah.
right.
You have
Yeah.
too much downtime, you're going to get in trouble.
Definitely. I just was thrown right into it. And the decision for the show was a very interesting one because I was doing a show and he did not want me on the show, but I chose to do it anyway. So every time he would see it, be like, she cheated on me. Like I cheated on him by doing the show.
So why didn't he? Let's
He
get
hated
into
the
that.
show.
Why didn't?
Because he didn't want me in the limelight. He didn't like what the show, the kind of show it was. Real Housewives of New Jersey.
I'm starting
He
to like
didn't-
your boyfriend.
Right, he didn't like it. So he didn't like it. And then when he got sick, and it came to the point where they asked me, it was September, to do the reunion. And you get more money for the reunion. And I had some things that I had to straighten out on the reunion that happened that year. And he gave me an ultimatum. The ultimatum didn't come from him. It came from his illness. Either you do the reunion or me. And contemplation was to do the reunion because I'm just like, I see his path. Even I love him, but he's not the same person that I fell in love with. And I have to do for me. Now, if I didn't do that reunion, I wouldn't have got that contract. And I wouldn't be sitting here with you guys talking about Kim D per se. Yeah, I was on the show a little bit, but you have to make
They'd be
that
saying,
decision.
remember that girl Kim D back in the day?
So I made a major decision, and so I made some really tough decisions, so
But before that, you had the clothing store. You had Posh. Correct?
I did, but that wasn't so.
Was that a labor of love, or was it?
That
it
was
good
a labor of love,
Yeah.
but the show took it to another level.
Well, that's what the show does.
That's what I was just going to say. That's what the show does for you.
Of course, it's an international name. People from all over the world know about my Posh fashion shows. They know about Posh. I do memos and cameos from all over the world. So it was. Listen, if I would have said, "Okay, fine, I'm not going to do it," he passed away in November. This was September.
What are you do those cameos?
I do them all the time.
What's that like?
I find it to be fun. It's happy birthday, happy anniversary, pep talks, this, that, people that you're iconic, you're this and that.
Johnny, nice underwear. That's
I know. Well, I don't get that. I don't get that. But what I do is a little skit for them. So I get a lot of 5-star ratings. I talk about the show and I talk about some of my funniest moments on the show. And then I do the clink clink, like what I did to Teresa, and they just love it. And I kind of, I feel out the person, what I'm saying to them, and see what they would want to hear and what episodes or what I did, and that's what I do to make them special, rather than just say happy birthday.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Joe.
Yeah,
See you
no,
later.
I
give
make
me
it a
my
lot
give
more
me my
special
cameo
than
money.
that.
Because you seem to stay relevant. I know there's a lot of cast members who left the show, but you're one that seems to stay relevant. And as recent as last night.
Last night, the opening of the Housewives, the first part of the reunion,
Right.
they put my article, Kim D says, and then the second one was Teresa and I in her truck talking. So I made the second part of the reunion, and then the third part of the reunion they showed me again, and then Andy Cohen came up with a question about me, which he always does. So yeah, I mean, I was a major question the week before. They asked Melissa Gorga. I had tweeted that Joe Gorga was a coward because he had said some things that he didn't like, and I said some other choice words.
You also called him a slumlord at one point,
Yes,
too. I remember
did.
that.
Yes, I did. So Melissa, the question that came in, like the question is, Melissa, how do you feel about Kim D tweeting out that your husband was a coward? Well, to my surprise, the cameras go to Joe, and Joe goes, I happen to love Kim D. Like, okay, that's not the way you were talking the week before. And then Melissa says, I happen to like Kim D too. And let's face it, we're still saying her name and she's still relevant. So that was the week before the other question about my Instagram followers. Yeah, I hit him hard.
So your Instagram is at Kim D Posh.
Kim D Posh.
Please follow it.
Please.
And if you're looking for a good place to go out to eat, go to the Grand Saloon, 940 Van Houten Avenue in Clifton. Nick over there at the Grand Saloon has always been so good. He's a big supporter of our show. I want everybody to follow them on Instagram. It's at Grand Saloon. And reach out to them. Go to thegrandsaloon.com for complete details. That's GRANDESALOON.com.
I heard a lot of good things about that place. I gotta go there.
place is excellent.
Karaoke.
They have karaoke
They do have
Saturdays.
See what I'm saying? I
Saturdays.
heard that. I gotta go. I gotta go.
Well, tell me when you're going to go.
I'll let you know.
We'll make it a podcast night there.
Absolutely. That would be so much fun. No, I just want to sing.
Well, actually, you know
boy.
what? We're having, our nonprofit is having a cigar night there coming up. I think it's June 11th.
June 11th.
June 11th, which will be shortly after this airs. Chantel will be there. You know
Okay, I
Chantel
would
from
love to
Belladama
come.
Cigars.
Please let me know because I'm not good with dates.
I will.
I would have loved to go to her birthday party too, but I wasn't invited to that.
Well, believe me, I'll have plenty more
There was
parties.
Listen, I'm just saying.
There was only good-looking people there.
Oh yeah, listen. They have to sign. They have to send before you become a Kim D friend or like a posh doll. I want to see your picture. And
You're out.
teasing. No, teasing.
You're out.
I'm teasing.
I do have a
teasing, but
wig though. If I
There
really,
are some beautiful people that show up though. There really is.
well, listen, I like to dummy the place down a little bit. You know, you get all these beautiful.
You gotta equalize it.
I make ugly people look beautiful.
You're adorable.
just walking
You're
into a room.
adorable. You're adorable.
The same way Don Rickles was adorable.
There you go. There you go.
So-
No, it's cute.
So when now let's talk about that show. And you know, I'm a big believer in my anonymity, and my personal life stays personal. And this is why we had you in here, and this is what people don't understand. You go and you put yourself out there in the public spotlight.
Right.
I got to give it to you because I don't know whether I could do it. I've been around famous people. I've been around you. I like to go eat dinner and be left alone. And I don't like that people come up and bother. That's got to be tough.
Especially like
Sometimes it is.
mid-bite.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is. Like I told Kevin before that, like, if you're eating and they'll wait for you to kind of be done, or they'll like walk up to you, and it's one thing to ask for one picture, but I've been asked because you know with social media they're taking the selfies and this I don't like this one. Can we take another one? It can finally you're like, listen, you took 4. I'm sure you could find one that you're like, I'm not even asking how I looked. You know what I mean? So it can be, a hassle, although I am humbled by it. And it's lovely and it's wonderful that people like, I can't even believe I was in New Hope. I went to see John Lloyd Young and we were walking through, it was raining, snowing, and we're walking through the town trying to get to the car. And people are banging on the windows. They were sitting saying, could you take a picture with me? And I was like, I can't believe it. Listen, so it's humbling, but yeah, like it's freezing out. I want to get to my car, but I took the picture.
Because I know you're a real person.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're not a phony. I know
No.
you're a real person. And you know, the times with your mother's house, let's say, for instance, you have real person problems, just like everybody
Real
else.
person problems.
And I think there's certain people out there that can't separate. There's the Real Housewives, and then there's Kim D. Paola.
Right.
So I don't understand that lifestyle. And in my opening, I talk about the loss of anonymity because it's a gift.
Absolutely.
Do you ever long for it to come back?
Well, people don't know too much about me, which is very interesting, and that's why I'm writing the book. That's how I got the book deal.
What's the name of the book again?
I play My Life with the Big Boys
They
because I
know-
said to Joe I play with the big boys, so My Life with the Big Boys.
They know Kim from the show.
Yes,
Or
D.
Kim D from the show. They don't really know.
They really don't.
Kim.
They really don't, and that's how I did a couple podcasts through COVID because that's how all these podcasts. So now when people are like, wait, what? She did what? She was with who? And that's when all these publishers came at me. They're like, you need to write a book about this because no one knows anything about you. So isn't that weird?
You have a very powerful tool right now because when the book comes out, they're like, wow, okay, let me see what's going on.
It's going to be a lot of fun for that. And of course, then it's going to be crazy after that. But I don't mind because you know what? My solitude, very important to me. I'm at home alone. My son's in and out, with my 7 dogs. I spend a lot of time home in my solitude. I go out once or twice a week. So when I go out, I don't mind it because I'm not like out running around. I don't have to work really anymore. I'm semi-retired. So they want a couple pictures, they can have a couple pictures.
Well, when your book does come out, make sure you get me a copy and we'll put it up here
1000%.
in a place of prominence.
1000%.
I guess you're going to go on the book signing tour.
Absolutely. I'm
that's
looking forward to that.
That's what I understand books are. Books, you don't really make money. It's the after effects
Yes.
of it.
Yes.
It's more to get your name out there and look at it that way. But how have you been able to keep? I don't even watch the show and I know everything about the Gorgas.
Right.
So how are you able to keep this stuff in?
Fear, respect.
Fear. Should we be worried?
No, but listen, I really believe that. I'm not sitting here saying this for no reason. It really puzzles me, but people are a little afraid of me, and I don't know why. Maybe they're afraid that they've seen my retaliation tactics, not violence in any way, shape, or form. I'm not, but they see that, I can, if you find out a little, first of all, there's no real dirt about me. My life was good. I had a good life. But I think people are like, not like even Dolores Catania on the show. She's the first one. She goes, I'm never going to say anything about Kim. Like, there's no way. And we're good friends. But she says that as a friend who, if she was asked to, I'm not going against Kim. Just not doing it. So I'm going to be honest and say it's a little fear, a little respect, a little of both.
Now, see, that's one thing you said, too, that gets me. And that's what, about the show, she wouldn't say anything bad if she asked you. So, like, the producers goad you
You're
guys
going to push
into...
you, but, you could still say no. They try to push me to do a few things. The night that I got the contract, when Michael passed, I'm there with Teresa. We were very good friends. And she was getting this very big award. What she did on, oh my God, I can't think of the name of the show. I won't even say who the head of the show was. But anyway, she did something very nice for a young boy with a kidney disease. And they were giving her an award. And they wanted me to sit at her table and say that Perez Hilton was saying that her husband was cheating. I'm like, there is no chance in hell that I'm going to say this at the table with him sitting there or say this to her that night. And they're tapping me on the shoulder. I'm like, you could tap me all you want because that ain't happening. Well,
That's
I
pretty
signed
dirty.
That's what I said. I've seen a couple episodes, and some things come up at the most
Because they're gonna do
inappropriate
it.
times.
A couple episodes.
Almost all of them.
I've seen.
I wouldn't do
I've seen
it.
a couple
Super
of them.
fan.
I wouldn't do it.
No, I'm not a super fan.
Super fan.
I did see Teresa flip the table, though.
Yeah.
Was that scripted?
That was good. No, it was not.
Really?
She had a few drinks that night. She gets very angry. She
Well,
does
see,
that often.
that's what I understand. You fuel,
make you drink.
You fuel a couple people up.
Yeah.
Next thing you know,
Yeah, they want you to drink. They
Well,
push
every one of those shows is about drinking. They're always going to a party, or
They push the liquor. They
you know, down at the shore, the houses down the shore, and they're all drinking. And
And the guys are doing shots like crazy. I'd be on the floor.
Well, do you? So your shooting schedule when you were a cast member, your shooting schedules. You have to plan your life around the shooting schedules.
Oh, you're done. When you signed that contract with them, and I was only a friend, but I was full time.
Mm-hmm.
I was full time. You just sign your rear end away. You're done. It's like, here, you have me for the next 4 or 5 months. I had the flu. I got a flu shot, which I didn't want to get, which my mother made me get, and I got the flu. They came to my house in masks to film when I had the flu.
now, how did that affect your business? Did that take time away from your business?
Oh my God,
or?
no! My business blew up.
No, but I'm saying, did it take you away from your
Pretty
business, or
much.
do you have people there
Yeah,
that would
pretty
run
much,
it
but
for
that
you?
was like secondary. I had somebody working for me, so I was just like, listen, we filmed there. We filmed at the store. The girls would come in and really shop.
Was it a means to an end, though? I mean, you knew your life was going to be interrupted. I'm
Right.
sure you're a very smart woman.
Right.
But the long game, posh.
It was smart.
Yeah, it's a business.
And I
move.
like doing it. When I was on, Kevin, all we did was go for, like you said, we would go for dinners. I had all the, like the concierge of RHONJ. I would call the restaurants and say, we're coming in, we're going to film, you're going to be on, TV next season, and you're going to get all kinds of business. They would comp our dinners, they would comp lunches, they would comp, so we went out and had a ball. I'd bring my friends, I'd bring my mother. What's so bad about that? And I didn't mind the cameras.
We should start a show, Real Podcasters of Pompton Plains.
There you go.
We could do that.
There
So
you
we
go.
get-
Get everything comped.
Yeah, we get comped at Wendy's though.
Yeah.
There you go. There you
That's
go.
pretty much all.
Stop
No,
at the
I had
liquor store and
everything
get a couple airplane bottles. Here you go.
They would call me, the producers would call me. They go, where are we going next? I swear. And I'd be like, well, we can go here, we can go there. They would even say we need a couple's night, like a romantic night between Joe Giudice at the time and Teresa. I set them up at El Capriccio on Route 10. They were like, oh my God.
Oh, it's in East Hanover.
yeah.
Or Hanover.
Send them to the Grand Saloon.
Well, I would absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
We'll do a gig there.
it's two different types of atmosphere. Atmosphere for Grand Saloon is reality.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure.
Yeah, but
that
no,
you-
we did all. We did all. We did all kinds of restaurants. It was a bar. There'd be restaurants. They don't want just places like El Capriccio. They wanted all kinds of things. You see them. They were in Nashville doing shots on a bus.
How are you not gaining weight? You're at.
Well, I watch.
If you're eating out, eating dinner out.
Well, it depends
at
on
all
what
these
you
places.
eat. I'd have a salad with king crab on top of it, a salad with a piece of fish. I mean, I've always watched. These girls can go to town, but I watched.
I've seen some. Like I said, I've seen a couple of them with the parties at the houses down the shore.
Parties were crazy.
Fully catered.
Fully
food
catered.
everywhere.
Donut
It's-
trucks,
it's-
candy
yeah,
trucks, ice cream
unbelievable.
trucks. Yeah.
But is there ever a time when it just got to be?
Yes.
I'm done. I don't want to do this stuff no more.
Yes.
But you're in a contract, so
I would back out of scenes. I've been in, we'd be filming, And I'd start hiding. Like I'd go in the back and I'd hide. Like we'd be at in a function.
The Kim D Irish goodbye.
Yeah, and I would I couldn't say
where it
goodbye,
started.
but I would push myself out, and then the producer would be like, "Get in here!" Oh yeah, and I'd be like, I need a break. I just needed a break. You need a moment. You need a moment because sometimes the anxiety kicks in. So, yeah, it does get to you, especially towards the end. Like in the beginning of the filming, you're all excited, whatever.
It's something new.
But after months of this, and they're calling you for every little thing. Like you have to go to Teresa's house, and I brought my dog so the kids would play with the dog, and it does get to you, and I'm sure it gets to these girls. I mean, they're getting paid big bucks, but it definitely gets to you because you never know what's going to hit you. You're not on a show like this where you're going to have a nice conversation. You could walk into a Hornets Nest. You never know.
They're always looking for that next soundbite.
Exactly.
Which is vastly different than the way we do things here. We're here to find out the things that you
Make
go
you tick.
through. Right. So somebody out there who may think differently of the Housewives is going to go, well, you know what? Kim's a real person.
Yes.
Kim's a real person. But now I've been the guest on certain shows, and Mike knows which one I'm talking about. In the middle, and I'm supposed to be talking about a police shooting.
Yeah.
The guy asked me, so what do you think of LeBron James? What do you think about Black Lives Matter? And I'm brand new. Like, I'm not new to the podcast world, but
That's crazy.
as an
That might have been one of the first you did.
That was the
outside.
first. Yeah, that was the first.
Cray.
So he was looking for a soundbite.
Yep,
He-
that's
and
exactly
it
what they're looking for.
Really pissed me off.
I don't blame you.
Really, really pissed me off. I think one of them was, and they put out the little sizzle clips and everything. He asked me, what was it like carrying a gun? And I said, my exact terminology, forgive my language. I said, well, it's like having another dick. But, and then I go on to say, but it's a huge responsibility. You find
Very
that out.
huge.
You find that out very quickly. And I never carried it off duty because of that reason. Well, guess which clip he used?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Of course.
Cop says this thing.
Yeah.
I know they have to sell a show. I know
Right.
what Bravo's all about. If you look on all their shows,
That's
they're
what
all
they're,
pretty
that's
much
what they're
the
there
same.
for. And when you sign up for this, you know it. So you can't say, "Oh, I didn't sign up for this." Yeah, you did.
But then you have to temper who you are, don't you? I know you're always going to stay true to yourself in your personal life. But if there are times you want to go out and lay one on. All right, you
Yeah.
maybe want to pull some back.
Yep.
You can't do that
No.
because if you fall down drunk, guess what's going to be the next highlight reel on the show?
I did not fall down, but I got one night where honestly I didn't. Thank God I didn't do anything crazy. But I woke up the next day and go, what did I do? Honestly, because there was so many. It was at a house party, and there were so many drinks going around, and it was mixed. Like we had a Cosmopolitan, we had this, we had that. So I'm like, what the hell? The next day I'm calling everybody up. Like they go, no, you didn't do anything wrong, and we could tell you were tipsy. But that night, the producer pushed me out into the middle of where they were making speeches, and it looked like I just jumped out and was like, hey, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So they do things like that to you too. But that night, oh my God, I woke up and I learned my lesson. I said, you do not do this ever again. Because, you're in the moment and the cosmopolitans are coming around. And then, so when you mix, I don't care, who you are, you're going to, feel bad. Thank God I didn't make a fool of myself because it would have been ugly.
And when you start drinking, sometimes you maybe forget the cameras are there and just start being yourself.
You do.
And
You do. And
keep
that's
going.
what they want.
But if you're a good person and that's you, chances are you get drunk and intensifies.
I get happy.
You get happy.
I'm a happy person.
But if you're an asshole and you start drinking,
oh yeah,
you're going to be a super asshole.
It's going to come out.
And
Instant asshole, just add alcohol, right?
What's that?
Instant asshole, just add alcohol.
Just
Yeah,
add
there you
alcohol.
go.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
That's
It's true.
actually very true.
It's true.
And I know some of the women on there get caught up, and I know some of the women put on for the show, for the camera, because it's a show, and
Right.
that is. Is there any specific incident where somebody just got caught up that you know of?
Well, I'm going to go back to Teresa. She's not very bright. I call her Forrest Gump. I mean, I'm sorry. And I think Forrest Gump was a great character. She gets caught up all the time. She thinks I think Bravo gave her too much power, which they don't usually do on these shows. They try to keep everyone equal. There's always one that stands out. And I see the progression. She doesn't have to be pushed. So there's some kind of anger inside there. You have to be kind of an angry person to constantly want to be swearing at people and throwing things at people, telling people to pull other people's hair. So there's certain people that don't have to be pushed. And then there's others that they tap on the back and the person's like, no, I don't want to do it. They go, we just gave you $1.2 million. You're going to do it. And you lose a friend. There's friendships lost. There's families lost over this.
But then you
But like I said, even at those the shows, the one that you were watching the other day,
the reunion.
the
shows.
reunion shows. I mean, they're at each other's throats on those things.
Brutal. And she has a filthy mouth.
And these are people that were all did like everybody on the show know each other before
Not really.
that?
I mean,
or knew
some of them
each other
did.
maybe.
Some of them did in the beginning. Yes, when they first doing these shows, it was real friendships, real family, real whatever. Now, see, Jersey's hard to infiltrate. You can't. These girls are not warm and fuzzy, So they keep trying to bring on these new characters, these new people. It just doesn't work. Beverly Hills, they have like 8. New Jersey, the most they think they had was 6. I could be wrong, but it's very hard to get on this show. They're not warm and fuzzy girls, and they're not women's women, And I think that's these people that go out and cast this. They know exactly what they're looking for.
Oh, exactly.
Oh, of course.
That's what they do for a living. Do they do for a
They're
living?
not looking for me.
No.
They're not looking
and
for my
you know
life.
what? And I didn't play ball with them
So
because
you, you couldn't be a Real Housewife anyway.
Well, so
They're not going to play ball, Kevin. They're not going to tell you what to do.
If somebody pushed me out there and tried to make me look like a fool, I have a different way of dealing with things than, say, somebody that's always on camera. I don't give a shit if I'm on camera because all I need to do is petty disorderly or less, and I still keep my pension.
Right. There you go. There you go.
So I know this going in, but so Kathy, what's Kathy?
Wachili?
Wachili. So her husband, here's the weird connection I have with the Real Housewives. Her husband and one of the owners of a coffee shop in Roseland, the town I used to work in.
Okay.
So when Sandy hit and there was no gas, all the Real Housewives would come to this gas station in Roseland.
Really?
And I actually, I'm sitting there I was just out there working security, and I'm sitting there talking to this woman, beautifully nice woman, little butch, but very, very nice woman. And the owner comes out, Paul's his name, and he says, "Don't you know who this is?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's a woman waiting for gas." She goes, "No, she's on the Real Housewives." It was Rosie.
Rosie. Well, she's the one who beat me out in the Instagram. She had more Instagrams.
Because Kevin followed her.
Listen, we need more Instagram followers. Let's go.
Yeah, Kim D. Posh.
That's right.
But she was a wonderful woman. And
Oh, sweet.
So I started asking her because I was curious. I said, "I don't watch the show, but my wife is a diehard fan."
Right.
And I even called my wife. I'm like,
Guess who's here?
Who's the butchy girl? Who's the butchy girl? And in the back, Rosie heard me, and she said, "Tell her it's Rosie."
Yeah.
But she's a sweetheart, and she goes, "Well, look, I don't want to be on the show, but there are certain causes that I champion that this show is going to give me the opportunity that I wouldn't be able to do on my own. Just like I know you're a businesswoman, I know you have your own personal interests. There's reasons why people get themselves involved,
Right?
But the average person wants to be famous, and they don't know why.
That's what the bottom line is.
They don't want to be. They don't know why they want to be famous.
Listen, there was an interview just recently that I was watching between Teresa Giudice and I think the girl's name was Alessia from Miami. So 2 girls, one just got married and Teresa's getting married. Alessia, I think, set her up because Alessia is very smart. So she says to Teresa, "Are you going to take his name?" Because Teresa's getting married. "Well, he told me that I should keep my name because I'm Teresa's Giudice and that's how everyone knows me." Right? So Alessia hits her. "Well, I'm very old-fashioned, and my husband wanted me to take his name, so I took his name." Like, it didn't matter to me that everyone knows me by this name. I'm in love with this man. I'm marrying him, and he wants me to take his name, and I'm going to take his name.
Her maiden name is Gorga. It's a known name.
Right. Well, Giudice is her
married
stage name. This is what everybody knows her at Giudice. So she's going to keep that. Well, if fame wasn't the most important thing, and this is your love bubble, and you're, why don't you want to take his name? But he suggested she keeps her name because of her fame.
Well,
Okay.
There's all sorts of different types of fame. There's fame from the Real Housewives. I remember speaking to a kid named Scott Wolf. He was an actor in the 90s. He's from West Orange.
Okay.
And I said, "So what's it like? What's it like being," he goes, "Imagine being wanted and adored and chased by every 14-year-old girl on the planet." Because he was an early 20s, teen type actor.
Heartthrob type.
How cute.
But what type of fans are, I guess you get mostly females, mostly
No,
women?
I get both. You can't even imagine. Okay. And the gay community love me. They like strong women, you know what I'm saying? So they love me. And I get women and men, all sorts of people.
Big fan of the gay community. You know why? Because they're not after women. It's just more.
There
for
you
the
go.
rest of us.
There you go. But no, they just get a kick out of that. I just tell it like it is, and that my flamboyancy in a way. They love that. So And also, a lot of my very dear friends and the person that I do my podcast with, David Yontif, shout out. We do our podcast, which is on Patreon on Saturdays, David and Kim D, recap. So I don't know, like they always wanted me to do appearances in gay bars and all that, but I'm not about appearances because, as you know, I go in early and leave early. So by the time people would get there, I'd be gone.
Actually, appearances are perfect because you're there for an hour and you're
done.
done.
Yeah, but they want you to start. They want you to start at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
That's.
But yeah, so no, all.
I could do an appearance in my bed at 10 o'clock
That's
at night.
exactly
That's about
right.
it.
That's exactly right. That's why sometimes I do the podcast from my bed. But yeah, all sorts, all different. And a lot of the guys will come over. They go, "Oh, my wife loves me. Can I get a picture?" Like, sure. And then the wives go, "Yeah, right." He watches you too. It's cute. That's cute.
You brought up something before. You said fear. Is there any fear of
No.
of like one of these stalker fans or anything like that? I mean, you hear it all the time.
Stalkers. That's amazing that you brought this up. It had nothing to do with the show. Okay, but I met them because I was on the show, and they came to my store, and they shopped. 2 separate women that became friendly with them, and they came to me because I'm on the show. Okay, so that is a stalker because of the show.
Yeah.
What happens is, very long story, one guy gets involved, and then because I'm very good friends with him, one is accusing me of being with him, and the other one is mad because I didn't help her out when she was being accused. So I'm like, listen, I don't get involved in these things, restraining orders and this and that. All of a sudden, I'm getting, and this has been going, I could talk about this now because we caught one. I'm getting, for the past 7 months, burner numbers coming in twice a week, hitting me like, you're this, you're that. I mean,
Mike, throw away the
phone.
She caught me.
New Year's Eve, crazy, talking about my mother who passed, talking about my dogs, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. It took me, it's very hard for you to get information on burner apps. It wasn't a burner phone. Both girls had burner apps on their phone. So we had to subpoena California, and we caught one so far, and we're waiting. We'll know in 2 weeks who the second one was.
I guess they just want to be friends with you.
And because I said no to what they wanted me to do for 2 different reasons, obviously these girls are not right in the head. They came for me.
And it's like latch-ons.
Yes.
People like to latch on to different
Yes.
things. Oh, that's Kim D. Let's go shop at her store.
Opportunists. Opportunists.
Absolutely.
They think you have the secret sauce to fame.
And they want to get on the
wanna get on the
show,
show.
or they want to get into, build up their social media. And they did shop with me, and that's how I met them. But, it got really ugly. And, again, the wrong person to do it to, because most people wouldn't be able to have the means, or I don't even mean the money, the people that would be able to get the subpoenas to get them. It's very hard. So, but we did. And it took me 5 or 6 months to get the information, but I was a dog with a bone, and so was my attorney. I have 2 investigators. And they were like, well, we're not going to let this happen. They're going to go down, and we're going to have them arrested, and you're going to sue them. And that's where we are right now. We're on our way for them to be arrested for what they did and what they said. I'm not the first person either one of them did this to.
On the show?
No, in life.
Really?
In life. These burner numbers are really bad. They're really bad.
Well, I get it in this way. Like, people know that I know you.
Yeah.
People know that I know other famous people, and I have their numbers in my phone, and they will come out and ask me, "Hey, can you get me Kim D's phone? Can I call Kim D? Can you get her here? Can you do this here?" I tell them all the time. I said, I don't do that.
Right.
I don't do it.
Can't.
I mean, if it's a business opportunity,
Different story. We've done this before.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation.
I would come to you and say, hey,
First.
Kim, I got this business opportunity. Here's your information. You choose
Right.
what to do with it. My hands are off of it.
Right.
I don't want to be, although I kind of get caught up in the response.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, I'd like you involved because you know the person and you've already dealt with them. So I'd want you involved. But yeah, this is the first time in my life that anything like this ever happened.
Really? Like with Mike's phone, I actually write his number on the bathroom
There you
wall.
go. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just
Mike.
go in any bathroom, you'll find it.
I can't.
For a good time.
No, for a bad time.
Is that the mic, the one I saw just recently? Yeah, that mic. For a good time.
one.
There you go.
For
And you didn't call me.
for a good time.
For a good time.
For a good time. That's
Yeah.
That's so funny.
That's actually false advertisement. So
I love it.
But
yeah,
I mean,
so there we go. That's one part of being on the show. that look what happened to me.
Just getting into like those opportunities. When you were in Roseline, did The Sopranos ever film there?
Yeah, a couple times.
How many times when you're working that detail do you see these guys come in there? They're
Oh, the chest open?
yeah, or
yeah.
I call the Guido tuxedo. Yep. The Sergio Tacchini.
I can't.
The Sergio Tacchini, like running suits. Hey, what's going on here?
I can't. I
It
love
happens
it.
all
I
the
love
time.
Yeah, so I imagine there's hang-arounds when you film, too.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you call up a place, there's some waiter in the back, hey, Real Housewives.
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. And you know
Or
what?
you call up and make a reservation.
Reservation.
Now all of a sudden this guy's going to say,
That's happened to me
hey,
many times.
Hey, Kim D's coming in tonight.
Yeah.
Kim D's coming in tonight. And then all of a sudden the place is mobbed.
Yeah, it's true. That's happened to me. And and I realize that. I see it, because I'm walking in there asking for pictures or whatever. And that's not a problem. I don't mind it, but when we used to film, oh my God. I mean, but most people that own the restaurant, they call their family, their intimate friends, they're good, customers. So we didn't mind, and we want the place to, to be filled up. So it was all good. Those kind of things don't bother me. But like I said, it didn't come to my mind.
You just don't want to look over your shoulder.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So this didn't come to my mind until just now when whatever you said triggered me into saying, yeah, I mean, it could be an issue. Definitely could be an issue.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's got to be tough. One day you're Kim D.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're on the show. Now you're Kim D from The Real Housewives.
Yep.
Total life changing overnight.
Overnight.
That's
And
got
in
to
the
be
beginning,
rough.
it wasn't pleasant because there was a few things that went down that when they had said, and the girls do interviews, and one of them had said something about me. Of course, that wasn't true. She was, provoked it. And people would come to my store, open up the door. You're this, you're that, you're this. I'm like, what? Yeah. Open up the door and say crazy things and slam the door. And I'm like, wait, what? So anybody else would have would have been crushed. The girl that worked for me, one of them is very sensitive. And she'd be like on the internet, go, oh my God, I can't believe the things that they're saying. I go, listen to me. It doesn't matter what they're saying. Let them keep saying it.
As long as they're showing interest.
That's right. But she would be
Keep
crushed.
watching.
I don't know. I just don't. It's a very foreign world to me because, again, somebody comes into my store and does that, I throw something at them.
Well, they didn't do it too often because I didn't throw something at them, but they were told right back what they were. And then word got out, like, stay away from the store.
Well, so I know when Teresa got out of prison, there's a landscape supply right down the street from where she lives. And I didn't know where she lived.
Okay.
I was taking a shortcut. I had picked up something and I'm going back to my house and I go, there's news vans everywhere. I mean, and it's a small street.
crazy.
You've been to her house, right?
Hey,
Or many times.
Kim, he was a Teresa stalker.
Yes.
Yeah, he was. I was a stalker.
She got out of jail.
truth
Look,
is coming.
I'm
The
going
truth
past
is
her
coming.
house.
With a load of mulch behind me.
There you go.
Yeah, I was going to remulch her beds for her. That's how much I loved her.
You did all the landscaping while she was away. I know you did.
Exactly. So I'm driving down the road, and it's a small road anyway. And
It
I can hardly get through there. And I'm looking at the news vans, and then out of the corner of my eye, I see her get out of the car because she had just gotten out. I see her get out of the car, and I'm like, wow, this really sucks. This really sucks because you got out of prison, which is not a proud moment.
It's not.
But
No,
it
it's
was
not.
probably really good for ratings. So.
It was great. I mean, it was great for ratings, and they put off the show until she got out of prison. They did not film.
Did you talk to her? Were you friendly with her when
I
she got
was
out?
friendly with her. Yes, I went to her house when she got out of prison. I brought her clothes from my store. We were friendly for a while. And then I was hearing different things through the grapevine that I didn't like, and I kind of pulled away because I did a lot. I told her how to do her commissary money before she went in. I knew how you can set that up and everything. I helped the girl. I was a good friend. I wasn't there because of the show. I was a friend to Teresa. I didn't need her for the show. I didn't need her for money or to be famous or whatever. I was a good friend to her. But Teresa she's a bit of a narcissist, and she doesn't know how to be a true friend.
Well, is that something that comes out over time? That narcissism. Once you're in front of the camera, you start believing your own press a little bit.
Oh, she definitely believes it. She stood up the other night at the reunion and said, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of all? Teresa Giudice. And she did the spin, and we were like, what did she just do?
Wow.
That's really pushing it. That's really pushing it. Saying that her fiance's exes are coming out on his narcissism only because he's with the Teresa Giudice, which is not true.
Well, that's why I have my Instagram at Real Kevin Donaldson.
There you go.
So nobody mistakes
There
me for
you
any
go.
of the other
There you
fake
go.
Kevin Donaldson.
Yeah, there
See,
you go.
that's what I was going to do. When Kevin told me to change my Instagram, I wanted to change it to the fake Kevin Donaldson.
There you go.
So I could get, all that.
There you go. There you go.
Ride
But
his coattails for a while.
It does get to some of their heads, but I think deep down, Teresa's always had this issue, but you know, you got to remember she had like one loss after another within family. Then she goes to jail. Then he goes to jail, and then she finds out the truth about his situation, what he was doing while she was in jail and before then. So she's I personally think, even though she's with this man that she says, I think she's a hardened person.
Well, where's the redemption in it? Do you think that Teresa, you've been a rare one, okay, where you've been able to stay grounded throughout this whole experience, where somebody, say like Teresa, and I don't know her, and I'm speculating, of course, has believed her own press. Do you think there's one day where somebody like her, because I know there's plenty of them out there on the other shows, they're going to wake up one day and say, you know what, this isn't real. This is not what I think it is.
No, not Teresa.
Yeah.
Many people will, but not Teresa has gotten worse. You would think that she would have been humbled. She lost, her father-in-law died on her property. Then her mother passes away at a very young age, okay, right after she gets out of prison. Then she loses her father. She goes to jail, her husband goes, and then the father of her children gets deported. Like, be a little humble? You got to be kidding me.
But do you think that's really become her identity now? She's not, like I said.
She's not Teresa Giudice. She's the Teresa.
She thinks she is.
You were Kim D one day, and then you were Kim D from the Real Housewives the next
but I'm
day.
exactly the same person.
And you could go back to being the old Kim D.
Yeah, I am. I was.
I don't think that Teresa's
Never.
capable of that.
No. She really believes when she stood up and said that, she truly believes it.
Well,
she really does.
When you do get back on the show, because they talk about you so much, I know you're going to get back on the show.
Everyone keeps saying that. It's
If
funny.
you ever need some grounding,
you
give me a call. I'll
I
ground you.
absolutely will. But that's never going to happen. Listen,
I know.
The person that I was with, he was, our lifestyle was beyond what you can possibly imagine. It really bigger than movie stars. He had more money and whatever. That wasn't the draw, okay? But we did things that people can only dream of. And I stayed exactly the same. But what I did do was bring my friends along and brought my mother along and brought them on the jets and brought them on the helicopters and brought them to the casinos and them on vacations. You know, really? And we would go out for dinner. He'd make me sign all the bills. We'd go out for dinner and I'd invite like 20 people, 12. And he
made you go Dutch?
You know, yeah, well, no, I signed his credit card, not mine. But they wouldn't get far on mine. But I never forgot, who I was. Like, I'm the same person, and I don't understand. I just don't understand, how people can be like that. It's not. Listen, we can't understand what we are not. I've never hated anyone. I've never been jealous of anyone, so I don't understand hate and jealousy because I never felt that.
You haven't known me long enough.
There you go.
I'm with you on that. I believe hate is a very, very, very strong word.
Strong.
I've literally only hated two people in my life.
Oh.
Two people, and
Okay.
I can name them off the top of my head. I won't name them here because I don't want to get sued.
Okay.
But
Plus, I'm sitting right here.
no, that's what I do.
I
the
would have been
bathroom
so
walk for.
unhappy if he said your name, Mike.
Listen, he said it before.
I
Oh
love
yeah,
it. I
he's-
love it.
When he's breaking my chops or trying to make me laugh, I've said it. So your book coming out. Let's get into your book. Let's get
Okay.
into the things that you're doing now. This is what you did.
Right.
And I still think you're not done with it because they mention you far too much. But let's talk about the new things you got going on. I know you do your fashion shows.
Okay, 3 times a year, which the next one's October, and I want both of you to be there. It's not a women's fashion show. It's men and women.
I'm not modeling anything.
No,
unless you got underwear. I'll walk out
Listen,
my underwear.
I might have you like help the girls, walk down the catwalk. No, it's a lot of fun. I'm going to have it at Batagua in October. So that's one of the things I'm plugging is October, Batagua, Posh Fashion Show.
All
Okay?
right. Yeah. So I want to put all these on our show notes
Absolutely.
when we air this episode.
October. Okay, I'll give you the date. It's either I think it's the 12th. It's Wednesday the 12th, but I'll
Okay.
gonna
Yeah,
quote on that.
we'll get that from you.
I have my website, okay, that I work on my website, Posh by Kim D. That's where they can buy my clothes, and I still sell clothes.
That's
My
POSCHE.
by Kim D. I do the recap podcast with David Yontef on Saturdays on Patreon. We're going to also do the recap for Beverly Hills, which is, I have to watch that tonight when we're done here. Thank you for making that a little bit earlier. I am writing, I have a publishing deal to write my book, My Life with the Big Boys, which is getting there. I fired my first ghostwriter.
But I've seen some of your life from the past, and it's amazing. You got to see some of the pictures that Kim's got from the Copa. I mean,
Jimmy Durante.
My
Diana
father
Ross
used to
in
be a
this-
bouncer at the Copa back in the
Really?
day. Yeah,
So cool.
he was. He did security for Stevie Wonder, Jimmy
Wow.
Durante,
Okay.
Tiny Tim.
Wasn't
Wow.
that movie Green Book? Tony
I
Lip.
love that.
Tony Lip was a
Tony
was
Lip.
a bouncer
Yeah,
at
sure.
the.
He was the maitre d'. He
was the
became the maitre d' afterwards. He was a bouncer at first, but they made him a maitre d'.
Tony Manafo also.
So if you
Yeah.
don't know who Tony Lip is, I'll put it into terms. He was one of the gangsters, and I can't remember his name on The Sopranos.
Yes.
That was Tony Lip.
That's right. That's
and
right.
that movie wasn't to come out until his death.
Yeah, what a great story.
Oh, I love that story.
I
That was
love
really
that
good.
movie. It was a great story.
The
And they have a restaurant, in Franklin Lakes. Tony Lip's son.
That's
Well,
the
Tony
one.
Lips
Yep.
in Franklin Lakes.
My father,
Oh, really?
my
I
father
didn't know
knows
that.
Tony Lip or knew Tony Lip,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he always says, "Oh, his kid's got a restaurant.
Yeah,
Let's
and
go."
I heard it's very, very good.
Yeah.
I heard it's good. I got to get in there one of these days. He made it through COVID, which is when they, because it's very small. Bring your own. But yeah. So the book is going to be my next big thing. I've written a lot of it already. I fired my first ghostwriter, and so someone else picked it up. So she's a little backed up. But I'm thinking the next time the Housewives drops, RHONJ, my book should be out by then.
We should get at least a chapter out of that book.
Oh, and here, and my wonderful time on the Suffering podcast. It really changed my life and
Yes.
made me a better
Yes.
person.
Yeah,
It
my,
made-
my life with the big boys to my life with the small boys.
And
I love it. I love it.
and I even got one new Instagram follower out of it.
No, I'll get more than that. But I don't know about like when even the first question, what you did. I think when you don't think about like what Mike said, that when the small things that would matter, I don't think about that. Like I just do things from my heart. I'm not out there doing a ton of charities and all that because to be honest with you, I don't like crowds. And that's another reason why I peace out earlier because I get a little anxious when there's crowds or whatever. So it's one of the I'll give to animal rescue. I will rescue animals. That's really my thing, and I do want to own one someday. That's my
Animal rescue.
I would love to.
That's
Well, she rescued
I-
7 dogs already.
That's what I'm saying. More than that. More
the
than
problem
that.
I have with that is I wouldn't want to give any of them away.
Well, that's the problem with fostering and having them.
Yeah.
But you have to look past that because there's so many of them that really need. I mean, when you see what goes on in these places and how many get euthanized, it breaks your heart.
Yeah, I don't.
Breaks your heart. You can't watch it. It's
I
hard to
couldn't do
watch.
that because we got a good friend of ours, Charlie Cifarelli, who takes in pit bulls. He was the owner of Star, the New York pit bull that was
Okay.
shot in 2013. So him and his girlfriend Jen.
That's so nice.
They take in pit bulls and they foster them and then they
I
adopt
can't
them out.
foster.
Yeah, that's
can't
very
foster.
tough. You fall in
Because you
love.
can't give them up.
Can't give them up. I cried like a baby. I fostered 2 dogs that came from a family who lost their home.
Really.
They lost their home and they couldn't keep the dogs. They had kids, they lost their home. So now I take the dogs, but I already had 6 at the time and there was 2 more and it was just, my life was crazy at that time. And I just said, I can't keep these 2, but I want to keep them together. And I wind up finding a wonderful, wonderful home for them. I cried for 2 weeks. I just can't do it.
Did you go visit the dogs after it too?
I was freaked out. Where I didn't cry, I don't cry that much over people.
Right. No, neither do I.
You know what I mean? You can't get me to cry over a person.
I tell this story all the time. I lost my first baby girl, Leia, my first yellow lab, 2019. Cried like a baby.
That's
November
right.
of 2019, she passes. I lose my father in January of 2020. I don't shed a tear.
Yeah, it's really scary. It's really scary.
I don't shed a tear.
I know. I listen. I don't even want to go there with that because I'm kind of in that same realm of how I am when people pass and people that were close to me. But I watch a movie, and I say to people first, I said, if anything happens to an animal, I don't want to watch this movie. I can't watch it.
I refuse to watch a movie, especially, you got to watch Dog's Life. I'm not watching
No
it.
chance.
I'm not
Because
watching
then
it.
they keep dying, and then
Yeah, no.
it's not going to happen. I got to go over and over.
How
with
about
this?
when we were kids? Old Yeller.
Oh, that was. And
Forget.
they made you watch that in school.
Listen, thank God I didn't have to watch. I was in St. Leo's. They didn't make me watch that.
The kid has to go shoot the dog.
No, listen, no.
I always say one of the
What a
worst
son
things.
of a bitch parent that is. To make a kid go shoot the dog.
Exactly.
One of the worst things that ever happened to me in my law enforcement career, I was walking down the street and there was a little girl walking a dog that was way too big for her. Dog broke away from her. Dog ran the street and got run over by a tractor trailer. Devastated me.
Listen, and you can't. And how about that little girl that was
Exactly.
walking the dog?
That's what the dog bothered me, but that little girl just standing there, look on her face. I'm like,
Of course. I mean, forget it. I mean, I just can't. I won't even let my dogs out the front door. Okay, I have like live in a townhome and have the chicken wire. Because they're little dogs to cover. Because in townhouse you're not really supposed to do all that. But anyway, did it. I'm out there like crazy person, making sure that they're. I would freak out if one jumped over the fence one time and I thought I was going to have a heart attack.
If I knew nothing else about you, and seriously, if I knew nothing else about you, your love for animals would make me like you.
Thank you.
Without a doubt, because I've said this for years, I like animals way more than I like people.
Oh, hands down.
You know, an animal's never going to turn and stab you in the back.
Nope.
An animal is always going to be loyal
And
to you.
there's no jealousy and there's no hate.
That's right.
The problem is we can't get an animal on the podcast, though.
I was going to bring Posh. I was going to bring my Posh. Yeah, I was going to bring her.
Next time.
I was going to bring
Episode
her.
2.
Yes, I will. I will.
So, Kim, we're coming to the end of this thing here, and I ask all my guests the same question. You've lived this very full life, and we only got into a small portion of it. You become a real housewife. You have a successful clothing business. You run fashion shows. You're a lover of animals. What do you think we've gone through some really stuff that I wouldn't want to do. I'm telling you right now, the suffering that you've gone through, I wouldn't want to do.
Right.
What do you think it's taught you?
Well, besides being stronger, which is amazing, I think humility and I think compassion for people, because I was not the most compassionate person. I was empathetic, but I would be like, oh, snap out of it. You know what I mean? So I think it taught me to be more logical about things, because I used to fly by the seat of my pants. Okay. Now I think
Digest
more.
it and think it.
I adjust it and think more. You know, I think that's what it is. I think it taught me a little humility. It taught me a little bit compassion, to understand that just because I'm a certain way doesn't mean everyone else has to be that way. You know.
You're a self-proclaimed different person.
Yes, I am. And I was never a housewife. I was a friend of the housewives. Because believe me, your listeners will definitely tell you she was never a housewife.
You're my favorite one.
I did notice there's guests, there's friends.
Yes, I was a friend. I was a paid friend. Yeah, but I guess
So
that's
say.
what taught. Yeah, there you go. He's a paid friend. So, but that's what it
And
taught
that didn't
me.
take long.
And you know, and now recently, what happened with these two women? You know, unfortunately, it taught me a little bit of, you know, that I have to be weary. Not fear. There's no fear, but a little weary. Like when I'm dropped off at my house, I'm like, can you watch me go in? And I never had that kind of feeling before, you know, but because of the show.
Yeah.
And because of who I am, now I have to be a little bit more careful, which I never thought that way.
You got to get eyes in the back of your head.
Yeah.
Kim, thank you so much for joining us.
You're
It's been a
very
lot of fun.
you.
You're quickly becoming one of my favorite people.
Thank you, Kevin.
And you're welcome back anytime when your book comes out. You want to come back, you want to promote the book, but we will always keep a special place here for that book.
Or maybe before one of her shows.
Oh, you're
Come in and promote a show.
Yeah, I would love to come in and promote the October show.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yes, let's
You're
do that.
always welcome here.
And then I'll know more about the book.
Well,
I'll be able to give you a little synopsis.
Mike and I always say this. When we bring people in here, we get to know them. We become vested in their stories. And they really do become family. And we
That's
do,
nice.
out of 77 guests that we had on here, I probably keep in touch with 70 of them.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Very nice.
We always say, like it or not, you become part of our dented family now.
That's
so.
really nice. And I definitely want to go to the Grand Saloon, so I want you to tell me when that's going to be. You know.
Okay, that's going to be June 11th.
June
yeah.
11th. Well, I will forget.
We'll be in contact.
And that's it. I had a wonderful time too. And I'll definitely talk about the book more because I'll be more into it by then when I come to promote the fashion show.
And don't forget, everybody out there, we have Belladama Cigars. Just go to belladamacigars.com, put in the Suffering 10 for a special 10% discount. Hit the Grand Saloon. Thank you, Toyota of Hackensack, and thank you, Caffeine Water. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast, The Suffering of a Reality Star with Kim D. And let's think about all the stuff that we learned today. The busy bee has no time for sorrow. Be a different person. Protect your anonymity, but most importantly, be strong, be humble, be compassionate.
Very much so.
That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you for joining us.
Our very first
On video. Yeah, you were.
I know you. I'm so excited about that. I'm like,
Find Kim at Kim D. Posh. Find Mike at Mike_Failace. Find me at Real Kevin Donaldson. Of course, follow the Suffering Podcast. Find us on Spotify, Apple, Google. We'll still be on all those platforms, but now YouTube. Hit the bell, like, subscribe. Thank you all. Have a good day.